Adam was a bright young man in a small UK town. His notebooks were full of ideas, his imagination was rich, but whenever it came time to speak in front of others, he froze. At school, the moment a teacher called his name, his hands would sweat, his throat would tighten, and his face would turn red. Adam? He can't even say his own name. His classmates laughed. He hated that sound, the laughter that reminded him of his silence. Every day, his identity became clearer in people's eyes, the quiet one. One afternoon, it was presentation day. The classroom buzzed with excitement as each student confidently spoke. When it was Adam's turn, the teacher called gently, "Adam, it's your time." He stood, holding his paper, and walked to the front. For a moment, the room went still. Dozens of eyes followed him, waiting, judging. He opened his mouth. No words came out. The silence grew heavy. Then a snicker, then laughter. Someone clapped sarcastically. Adam's chest burned with shame. He lowered his head and walked back to his seat, his unfinished paper still trembling in his hands. That evening, sitting alone in his small room, he stared at his reflection in the mirror. A quiet boy looked back. Weak, afraid. "Maybe this is who I am," Adam whispered. But then, deep inside, another voice whispered back, "No, this isn't the end." The next morning, Adam walked into school with his head down. Whispers followed him like shadows. There he is, the boy who couldn't say a word. Imagine freezing like that in front of everyone. He kept walking, pretending not to hear, but every whisper cut deep. At lunch, Adam sat alone under a tree, sketching quietly in his notebook. Drawing was the only place he felt free, when nobody could laugh at him, where his thoughts flowed without fear. As he lost himself in his sketches, a voice interrupted. "Adam!" He looked up. It was Mr. Harris, the drama teacher. "I saw you yesterday," Mr. Harris said. "You struggled, yes, but I also saw something else." Adam frowned. "What do you mean?" "You wanted to speak," Mr. Harris said gently. "I could see it in your eyes." It was as if your voice was trapped inside, waiting to break free. Adam looked away. "I can't do it." Mr. Harris slipped a flyer onto his notebook. In bold letters it read, "School play auditions, Friday." "I want you to come," Mr. Harris said. "The stage doesn't expose us, Adam. Sometimes it frees us." Before Adam could respond, Mr. Harris walked away. Adam stayed at the flyer. His chest tightened. Just the thought of standing in front of people again made his stomach twist. That night, in his small room, he placed the flyer on his desk. He tried to ignore it, but his eyes kept drifting back. Fear screamed inside him. "Don't do it. They'll laugh again." But somewhere deep within, that faint voice whispered, "What if this time? You try." Friday came faster than Adam expected. All week, the flyer haunted him. Fear told him to throw it away, but hope wouldn't let him. By evening, the auditorium buzzed with voices. Students held scripts, practicing lines, laughing, acting with confidence. Adam stood outside the door, his palms sweaty, his heart pounding. He could hear them inside, strong voices, laughter, applause. "I don't belong here," he thought. "If I go in, they'll laugh at me again." He turned to leave. But just then, a group of students walked past him. One smirked. "You? Auditioning? Don't waste your time." Their laughter stung. Adam froze. For a moment, he almost ran. Then Mr. Harris's words echoed in his mind. "The stage doesn't expose us. It frees us." Adam clenched his fists. His legs trembled, but he turned back and pushed open the door. Inside, the auditorium smelled of polished wood and stage lights. Mr. Harris spotted him and smiled warmly. "Adam, you came." The teacher handed him a script. "Don't worry about being perfect. Just read." Adam walked onto the stage. The spotlight burned against his face. Dozens of eyes looked up, curious, expectant. His throat tightened. He opened the script. For a second, nothing came out. A few students snickered. But Adam whispered to himself, "Don't run this time." He forced the words out. At first, his voice trembled. The letters shook on the page. But as he kept going, something shifted. His voice grew steadier. His eyes lifted. His body straightened. The room grew quiet. Students who had been smirking leaned forward, listening. By the time he finished the last line, the silence was so deep Adam could hear his own heartbeat. Then, applause. Real applause. Mr. Harris beamed. See? The voice was always there. Adam stepped off the stage, his hands still shaking, but for the first time, he wasn't ashamed. He had spoken. He had been heard. The next morning, Adam walked through the school halls with a strange new feeling. Pride. A few students who had laughed at him before now gave him curious looks. One even said softly, "Hey, you were good yesterday." But not everyone was kind. At lunch, the same group of boys who mocked him before sneered again. Don't get too excited, Adam. One shaky reading doesn't make you an actor. Yeah, let him try in front of a real crowd. He'll choke again. Their laughter followed him. Adam forced himself not to react, but deep inside, the old doubt stirred. Maybe they're right. Maybe it was just luck. That evening, Mr. Harris called him into the drama room. Adam, I want you in the play. Not just reading lines. I want you in a lead role. Adam's eyes widened. Lead role? No, I can't. Everyone will be watching. What if I forget my lines? What if? Mr. Harris held up a hand. Adam, fear doesn't go away because you hide from it. It goes away because you face it again and again. Adam didn't answer. The thought of being the center of attention made his stomach twist. At home, he sat staring at the script under the dim desk lamp. His little sister walked in, holding a wilted flower she had picked from the garden. "Can you fix it?" she asked innocently. Adam smiled sadly. "It's too broken." But his sister shook her head. "No, it just needs care. It can still grow." Her words sank deep. Adam looked at the script again. Maybe he wasn't broken. Maybe he just needed care and courage. That night, he whispered the first lines of his role, barely audible. His voice shook, but he kept going. Line after line, word after word. The fear didn't vanish, but something else began to grow. Determination. The drama hall buzzed with energy. Costumes rustled, props clattered, and students practiced lines in every corner. Adam walked in clutching his script, his stomach twisting with nerves. He could feel eyes on him. Some curious, some mocking. "Look who thinks is an actor now," one of the boys muttered loudly. His friend snickered. Adam lowered his gaze, but Mr. Harris clapped his hands. "All right, everyone. Let's welcome Adam. He's taking a lead role." Murmurs spread across the room. A few surprised faces, some skeptical smirks. Rehearsal started. Adam stood on stage, reading his lines opposite Sarah, the most confident actress in school. Her voice was strong, her presence commanding. Adam's throat went dry. His first words came out barely above a whisper. A ripple of laughter ran through the room. He froze. The same humiliation from the classroom washed over him. He wanted to drop the script and run. But then he remembered his sister's words. It just needs care. It can still grow. He took a deep breath, straightened his back, and tried again. This time, his voice carried. Not perfect, not powerful, but steady. Sarah glanced at him, surprised. She adjusted her tone, giving him space to grow. Slowly, the lines began to flow between them. By the end of rehearsal, the room wasn't laughing anymore. Some students even looked impressed. When it was over, Mr. Harris patted his shoulder. "See? You didn't just read the lines. You lived them. That's courage. Adam." Adam walked home that evening with trembling hands, but also a spark of hope. For the first time, he thought, maybe I really can do this. A week later, rehearsals were in full swing. Adam was improving, though every line still felt like climbing a mountain. One afternoon, as practice ended, Mr. Harris announced, "Tomorrow, we'll do a preview performance for a small audience, teachers, a few parents, some students. It'll help you prepare for the real play." Adam's heart stopped. A preview? Already? That night, he couldn't sleep. His mind replayed every mistake he might make, forgetting lines, freezing up, hearing laughter again. The next day, the drama hall filled with a small crowd. Not huge, but big enough to make Adam's palms sweat. Among them, he noticed his sister, sitting in the front row, swinging her legs excitedly. She gave him a big thumbs up. When it was Adam's turn, he stepped onto the stage. The spotlight blinded him, and for a moment, the old panic returned. His throat tightened. His script trembled in his hands. Someone in the back whispered, "He's gonna mess up." A few chuckles followed. Adam's chest burned. His knees felt weak. He was seconds away from running when he caught his sister's eyes. She mouthed the words, "You can." Something clicked. Adam inhaled deeply and spoke his first line. His voice cracked, but he didn't stop. He kept going. Line after line, word after word, his voice grew steadier, louder, braver. The whole grew quiet. Even the ones who doubted him leaned forward, listening. By the end of the scene, when Adam delivered his final line, there was silence, then a wave of applause. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. For the first time, Adam didn't feel like the boy who failed. He felt like someone who had fought and won a little battle. Posters were everywhere. School play, this Friday. Don't miss it. Adam's face was on them too, right beside Sarah's. Every time he saw it, his stomach flipped. He couldn't believe it. Him, the boy who once couldn't speak in class, was now one of the leads in the biggest event of the year. But with the excitement came fear. The whole school would be there. Teachers, parents, classmates, even the boys who mocked him most. What if he failed in front of everyone? Rehearsals grew tougher. Sarah, confident as ever, sometimes grew impatient. "Adam, you need to project more." "Stop holding back," she said after one run-through. Adam flushed with embarrassment, but Mr. Harris stepped in. "His learning. Don't rush him. Growth takes time." Still, Adam pushed harder. He practiced every evening in front of the mirror, whispering lines until his throat hurt. His little sister sat on the bed, clapping after each scene. "You're gonna be amazing," she said with a grin. But doubt kept creeping in. On the morning of the play, Adam overheard a group of students whispering in the hallway. Why would Harris give him a lead role? He's just going to ruin the show. "I'm coming just to watch him choke." Their words sliced through him like knives. That night, as Adam stood backstage in costume, the muffled roar of the audience filled his ears. Hundreds of people sat waiting. The curtains shook slightly from the vibration of the crowd. Adam's knees felt weak. His chest tightened. Sweat dripped from his palms. "Adam," Mr. Harris whispered, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about courage. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to step forward anyway." The lights dimmed. The curtains began to rise. Adam took one trembling step toward the stage. The curtains lifted. The stage lights blazed down, blinding Adam for a moment. The audience was massive. Teachers in the front row, parents whispering, students packed shoulder to shoulder, waiting. Somewhere in the middle, Adam spotted the same group of boys who always mocked him, grinning as if ready to watch him fail. His stomach twisted. His mind screamed, "Run, just run." Then he heard it, his sister's tiny voice from the front row. "Go, Adam!" He gripped the edge of the prop table, forcing himself to breathe. His first line was coming. Sarah stood opposite him, waiting, her eyes steady, almost willing him to trust himself. The silence stretched. The crowd began to murmur. Someone coughed loudly. Adam's hand shook. His throat was dry. Then, deep inside, he remembered Mr. Harris's words. "You don't have to be fearless. You just have to step forward anyway." And so he did. The first words escaped his mouth, fragile, shaky. A few snickers rippled through the crowd. His chest tightened, but he didn't stop. He took another breath, louder this time. The line carried. Sarah responded in perfect rhythm, pulling him into the scene. With each exchange, his voice grew steadier. The story began to take shape. The murmurs in the audience faded into silence. Even the boys who expected him to fail were now leaning forward, caught off guard. Halfway through, Adam felt something strange. He wasn't just acting. He was living the role. His fear transformed into fire, and the words flowed like they were his own. By the time his monologue came, the room was utterly still. Every eye fixed on him, every ear waiting for his voice. He stepped forward, heart pounding, ready to deliver the lines that would define him. Adam stood center stage. The spotlight burned down on him, but for the first time, he didn't shrink from it. He lifted his head, looked out at the sea of faces, and spoke. His monologue began with trembling words. A few students in the back chuckled, but he didn't let it stop him. Line after line, his voice grew stronger. Each word carried the weight of his own life. The fear, the pain, the struggle of being laughed at, ignored, underestimated. The script was just ink on paper, but Adam made it real. His voice cracked with emotion. His hands shook with truth. He wasn't just acting anymore. He was telling his story. The hall was silent. The laughter had died. Even the boys who mocked him sat frozen, wide-eyed. When Adam reached the final line, he shouted it with everything inside him. His voice echoed off the walls, raw and alive. And then, silence. For one terrifying heartbeat, Adam thought he had failed. Then it happened. A single clap, then another, and suddenly the entire hall erupted. Cheers, applause, whistles, a thunderous roar that shook the walls. His sister jumped to her feet, shouting his name. Sarah clapped with a proud smile. Mr. Harris's eyes glistened. Adam stood there, tears welling up, breathless. He had done it. He hadn't just spoken. He had owned the stage. For the first time in his life, Adam realized, white right pointing backhand index confidence doesn't come from being fearless. It comes from facing fear and not letting it win. The curtain fell. The roar of applause still thundered through the hall as Adam stepped backstage, his chest heaving, his heart racing. Students rushed past him, buzzing with excitement, congratulating one another. But Adam stood still, gripping the edges of his costume, trying to process what had just happened. Sarah approached first. She smiled, not her usual confidence make, but a genuine, warm smile. You were incredible, Adam. You didn't just act, you lived it. Before Adam could respond, Mr. Harris appeared, placing both hands firmly on his shoulders. I told you, the stage doesn't expose us. It frees us. Tonight, you proved that, to everyone. Adam's throat tightened. He wanted to say thank you, but emotion tangled his words. Back in the hall, the crowd still buzzed. Parents whispered about that boy with a powerful monologue. Teachers exchanged impressed nods. Even the group of boys who mocked him avoided his gaze now, their laughter gone. But the most important moment came when Adam spotted his sister in the front row, still standing, clapping wildly with tears in her eyes. She mouthed a single word, proud. That night, when Adam walked out of the auditorium, the cold air hit his face, but inside, something new burned bright. He hadn't just survived the stage. He had conquered a piece of himself. And though the play was over, Adam knew this was only the beginning. The next morning, Adam walked through the school halls. This time, there were no whispers of mockery. Instead, heads turned with respect. Students who once laughed at him now nodded, some even stopping to say, "Great job last night." Sarah caught up with him by the lockers. "You changed the whole play," she said softly. "You changed the way people see you, and maybe even how they see themselves." Adam blinked, surprised. I just didn't run away this time." "That's what made the difference," she said with a smile. Later that day, Mr. Harris announced that their play had been invited to a regional festival. Bigger stage, bigger audience. The students cheered. But Adam sat in stunned silence. The thought of an even larger crowd should have terrified him. Instead, it excited him. That evening, as he walked home under the fading golden light, his sister ran up beside him, holding a wildflower she had picked from the roadside. "Hey," she said, pressing it into his hand, "for being brave." Adam stared at the delicate flower, its petals imperfect but beautiful. Just like his own voice, shaky, cracked, yet alive. He smiled, whispering to himself. White right pointing backhand index. Confidence isn't about never being afraid. It's about choosing to step forward, even when you are. And with that, Adam knew this wasn't the end of his journey. It was only the beginning.